Welcome, 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 welcome. Hi, welcome. I think we're live now. I'm Paul Sugarman with the Instant Shakespeare Company, and today we've got an open forum where we're talking about better living through Shakespeare. And the idea of that is that Shakespeare can make your life better. And so I believe that that is true. And I've got several reasons for that. I'll share some of them, and I also have some other people with me as well who may have some other insights to share, and then we'll share some Shakespeare. We also here is Kenneth Wayne, whose camera isn't working, and Jerry Lynn Sackler, and so we're very grateful.
Camera's working.
Camera is working. Yes, indeed. Both of whom have been participants in Instant Shakespeare for quite a long time. The Instant Shakespeare Company is in its 26th season now of reading all of Shakespeare's plays every year. And we have a lot of readings coming up, both on Zoom and in person. So if you want to participate, please send an email to instantshakespeare@gmail.com. There's many opportunities because there are many plays with many parts. And one of the things, but getting back to the better living through Shakespeare, I think that part of what Shakespeare can do is it can educate us, and also it can empower us. I think that for me, the greatest thing about Shakespeare are his words and his characters. And it's like using those words and getting familiar with those words is a way to understand what is going on and how you can express yourself. And because he has characters that express themselves so brilliantly, so many wonderful speeches, so many wonderful plays, and just working on those and learning those things can help you think more clearly, and that's part of what gives his work such power. And I think it's also, he gives you an opportunity to be open to different sorts of ideas. I think one of the reasons why Shakespeare has endured so well is that it has this openness to it, so that you can have actors play the characters very differently, and it still works with the text. And I think that as a writer, it's pretty rare to get a writer like Shakespeare who really seems to care and love all of his characters. I mean, Chekhov is one of the other writers who is like that, where you really, even with, Shakespeare's minor characters who are only in for a little bit, there's some of them where you'll have like a brilliant speech. I mean, just from like the Lord and in As You Like It, talking about Jaques and mourning the death of the deer. And I think that, but even like the evil characters in Shakespeare, he lets us understand them. There's nobody I can really think of in Shakespeare who you can find some sort of empathy or sympathy with because of the writing. And so I think that's part of what makes it so great. And also I think in terms of for memorizing learning speeches, find a favorite speech from Hamlet or Julius Caesar or any of the other ones and memorize it. And by memorizing it, we're using our brains. Because I think one of the things with modern technology, as the growth of AI and all these other things, is that it's like you don't need to use your brain. It's like, yeah, if you don't use your brain, though, it's going to rot. You need to use your brain. And this is a way to do it. This was one of the things my father used to do, is he'd memorize sonnets. And it kept him, it was one of the things. I mean, he was also very active intellectually, and I think that's what's important for people to be able to do that. And you can do that through Shakespeare. Memorizing can do it. And also just being able to speak and present a speech is a workout. It is a vocal workout. For me, the way that I was able to really connect to Shakespeare was when I did the summer workshop and then the winter workshop at Shakespeare and Company many, many years ago. But it was just the fundamental idea of that it's like the actor's instrument and the voice have to be strong enough to be able to maintain this work, to be able to express what Shakespeare's doing. And so I was very fortunate in that I got to study with Kristen Linklater there, and her work, which really brings the voice into the body, and really makes it part of you, was so important to my understanding of Shakespeare. And I think that's something that's really good. I think that Shakespeare can help you think, it can help you exercise, it can help you to learn about the world and have empathy for other people and to understand different ideas, because there are many, many great speeches. So I think those are just, some of the reasons. Is there anything else anybody'd like to add? Or?
Yeah, I think just all the possibilities that are in life, because it's all in Shakespeare. He doesn't sugarcoat it. How tragic and unfair it can be, how magical and unexpectedly wonderful it can be. All these things that happen to all these different people. It's like his work is like the globe. Everyone's on it, everything's on it. And it's just, it's life wisdom. Like, yes, you can be a good person and have something horrible happen. It's a very, very on picture of reality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that a lot of people, they're the familiar ones that we get taught in school, and I think by being taught in school in some ways makes it something that it's like, oh, we have to. I've many things that when you're required to do them, then you don't like them. But if you just were to find it on your own, it's wow, it's wonderful and it's magical. Yeah. It's so interesting that in the curriculum, though, it's just the tragedies mainly. Unless they're teachers who also do the comedies, but my experience in high school was that all of the ones that we did, and actually when my junior year we actually did we did two of them, but they were both tragedies. So
yeah, I think Julius Caesar was the first one we did, like in ninth grade, and I think we did Scottish play. I liked the stuff from the beginning. I loved it, but most of the kids in the class were like, why do we have to do this? But and the teachers aren't really, regular all-purpose grade school teachers are not always prepared to do it, which is why it's good that theater companies and educational kind of theater companies reach out to teachers, and go, okay, we have programs to show you why this is, because Romeo and Juliet is amazing to do with high schoolers. It's, it's the real deal for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So a lot of, Midsummer, a lot of them. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and it's great. There were many companies. I mean, Shakespeare and Company, does a lot of stuff in the schools, and they also have things in the summer where they do seminars for teachers to get them to do it as well. And because part of our educational system, we don't want to give people voices, because that would just lead to chaos. If you're dealing with a class, even of 20 people, and everyone is expressing themselves fully, it's like the teacher's going to be in big trouble. So I mean, so unfortunately, school, because it's sort of a mass thing, is designed to sort of not have people talk much, and how to get to do that, how to get examples of doing that. A lot of people, it used to be, I mean, historically, people would get that from the community they get through church and from things like that. But Shakespeare really is the best at how people can express themselves. And so just getting familiar with it, it'll just rub off. And I mean, you can use the language in so many different ways. I mean, the Romeo and Juliet. I mean, just the wonderful, and the many other wonderful love scenes. The use of the language of love, but also the language of insults.
Yeah.
I mean, that there's that, and to have all of, and that's the thing, is that I think that if people were able to express themselves more fully, verbally, vocally, emotionally, they wouldn't have to do it physically to other people. Because violence, I think, is really from people sort of reacting instinctually. And we need to sort of elevate and educate our instincts to speak rather than hit or shoot or anything like that.
I think another lesson is if you look at something like Richard III, it shows manipulation of language, people manipulating truth by manipulating language. And if you look at things like that, that's a very useful thing to look at in terms of politics now. Like, how do people who want to do that manipulate people by manipulating language?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yes, yeah. It is so true. And there's
yeah.
And I think one of my favorite quotes, I've got so many I love, but from the end of King Lear, speak what we feel, not what we ought to say.
Yeah, there's a whole theme in Lear running through that. I mean, Cordelia basically gets thrown out for speaking her truth rather than what is required.
Yeah, yeah.
And the people who spoke what was required, it was total lies.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that.
Yeah, yeah. When it becomes required, then people will just play the role. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
politicians speak what's required.
Yes. Well, they're. I mean, it's crazy. And in New York and New Jersey, we got a couple of elections coming up. New York's got the mayor's race where, well, we'll see what happens with that. In New Jersey, we got the governor's race, and it's just, it would be very, yeah.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
I'm working the election as a poll worker again.
Oh.
Early voting and the main day. Yeah.
That's good.
It's always interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Well, because I mean, really, I mean, when I talked to you on election night, we knew sort of where things were going to go even before things had been called. You kind of had that insight from in a very blue district. All of the Trumpers were just
yeah. It's going to be interesting. Although it's always a little difficult with the ranked choice because you send out literature. This is how to use it. You ask people when they come in, can I explain? And they're like, no, I know. And then everybody does it wrong, and the scanner spits it out, and the people get angry, and that's like always.
Yeah. Well, because I do like the idea of ranked choice voting, and I mean it's a way, it makes sense as an election thing just in terms of the fact, so you don't have to have runoffs,
Right. But in practice, if you're a poll worker, it's like always kind of a nightmare. People go, no, I know what to do. Don't tell me. I'm not an idiot. Then you give them the thing, and they keep coming back to the table to get a new ballot.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
yeah.
the challenges, but you know, there's a learning curve.
There's a learning curve. Yeah.
So, any other, let's see, salient points in terms of better living through Shakespeare? I think that also Shakespeare can create a sense of community when you come together, and as we do with Instant Shakespeare, and do readings or do Shakespeare, do a full play together. It's something that we can create. We can create a community through that because he's all about relationships. So, alrighty. So, does anybody have, shall we share some Shakespeare?
Sure. Let's share something. Say that 5 times quickly. Share some
Share
Shakespeare.
some Shakespeare. Yes. Share some Shakespeare. It is a challenge, like in the sixth age shifts into the lean and slippered pantaloon. That's also a tough one.
Oh, yeah.
So, all right, you got
Kenneth,
some?
got anything? Kenneth? I don't know where he is.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. I guess not.
Okay. All right. I was in a midsummer kind of mood. So there's one of them I'm going to have to read because it's not memorized, but there are 2 that are easy peasy little ones. So this is Philostrate. A play there is, my lord, some 10 words long, which is as brief as I have known a play, but by 10 words, my lord, it is too long, which makes it tedious. For in all the play there is not one word fitted, one play act. And tragical, my noble lord, it is, for Pyramus therein doth kill himself, which when I saw rehearsed, I must confess, made mine eyes water. But more merry tears, the passion of loud laughter never shed. And I've got Quince, bottom. You may play no part but Pyramus. For Pyramus is a sweet-faced man, a proper man, as one can see on a summer's day, a most lovely, gentleman-like man. Therefore, you must needs play Pyramus. And then I can read to Tanya, and then that's over and out for me. What, jealous Oberon? Very skip hence, I have forsworn his bed of company. Oh, then I must be thy lady, but I know, when thou wast stolen away from fairyland, and in the shape of Corin sat all day playing on pipes of corn, and versing love to amorous Phillida. Why art thou here, come from the farthest steeps of India, but that forsooth thy bouncing Amazon and warrior love to Theseus must be wedded, and you come to give their bed joy and prosperity. These are the forgeries of jealousy, and never since middle summer's spring met we on hill and dale, forest or mead, by paved fountain or by rushy brook, or in the beached margins of the sea, to dance our ringlets to the whistling wind. But with thy brawls thou hast disturbed our sport. Therefore the winds, piping to us in vain, as in revenge, have sucked up from the sea contagious fogs, which falling on the land hath every petty river made so proud that they have overflown their continents. The ox has therefore stretched his yoke in vain, the plowman lost his sweat, and the green corn rotted ere his youth attained a beard. The fold stands empty in the drowned field, and crows are fatted on the murrian flock. The Nineman's Morris is filled up with mud, and the quaint mazes in the wanton green, for lack of tread, are undistinguishable. The human mortals want their winter cheer. No night is now with him or carol blessed. And these same progeny of evils come from our debate, from our dissension. We are their parents and original.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yes, stuff
That
is fun.
that was great. That was fun. Midsummer is such a wonderful play.
Yeah.
There's such a it's such a play that can work for all ages. I mean, it can do it for children and also for older people as well.
Oh yeah. There's something for everyone in it, and you kind of graduate, from playing a fairy, all the way on up
Yeah.
and wind up a mechanical.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
The mechanicals.
Go ahead.
Yeah, which is so much fun because you actually get to see them like rehearsing and you sort of get a sense of like Shakespeare's take on how the challenges of trying to
Work with actors, direct actors. I think there's a lot of Shakespeare and Peter Quince, besides Hamlet's advice to the players, there's Peter Quince like, what can I say to this guy to make him just, yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
He realizes flattery is the way with Bottom.
yeah. Tell him, nobody else could do this. This is your role because you are so wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Ken, do you have anything you want to share?
What I have, I was a little hesitant to do it because it's so long. It's the one I said I would be working on. I really haven't, but I have the prologue before the chorus before Act 4 in Henry V.
Oh yeah, do it.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Which is 53 lines.
It's okay. Go for it.
Okay, here we go. Now entertain conjecture of a time when creeping murmur and the pouring dark fills the wide vessel of the universe. From camp to camp through the foul womb of night, the hum of either army stilly sounds, that the fixed sentinels almost receive the secret whispers of each other's watch. Fire answers fire, and through their paly flames each battle sees the other's umbered face. Steed threatens steed, in high and boastful neighs, piercing the night's dull ear, and from the tents the armorers, accomplishing the nights, with busy hammers closing rivets up, give dreadful note of preparation. The country cocks do crow, the clocks do toll, and the third hour of drowsy morning name. Proud of their numbers and secure in soul, the confident and over-lusty French do the low-rated English play at dice, and chide the creepy tardy-gated knight, who like a foul and ugly witch doth limp so tediously away. The poor condemned English, like sacrifices, by their watchful fires sit patiently, and inly ruminate the morning's danger, and their gesture sad, investing lank lean cheeks and war-worn coats, presented them unto the gazing moon so many horrid ghosts. Oh, now, who will behold the royal captain of this ruined band, walking from watch to watch, from tent to tent? Let him cry praise and glory on his head, for forth he goes and visits all his host, bids them good morrow with a modest smile, and calls them brothers, friends, and countrymen. Upon his royal face there is no note how dread an army hath enrounded him, nor doth he dedicate one jot of colour unto the weary and all-watched night, but freshly looks and overbears a taint with cheerful semblance and sweet majesty, that every wretch, pining and pale before, beholding him, plucks comfort from his looks. A largess universal, like the sun, his liberal eye doth give to every one. Thawing cold fear, that mean and gentle all behold, as may unworthiness define, a little touch of Harry in the night. And so our scene must to the battle fly, where, oh, for pity, we shall much disgrace with 4 or 5 most vile and ragged foils, right ill-disposed and brawl ridiculous, the name of Agincourt, Yet sit and see, minding true things by what their mockeries be. And that's it.
Very nice.
Yes, Ken. Very good. Thank you. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
That is
Thank
such a
you.
beautiful speech.
It's wonderful. They made us do that at BADA. That was like for speech, to work on.
Uh,
What is Bada?
British American Drama Academy.
Oh,
Yeah, they made us do that one. Everybody had to do that one.
yeah, well,
And
there's,
make everything sound like you could hear. There's a lot of alliteration in it. So it was really playing out each of the sounds of like you're hearing what's happening. Yeah.
oh, I'm gonna have to work that into it somehow. I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to study it in that light. Thank you for telling me.
You're
And
welcome.
where is Bada exactly?
Well, it's BADA, the main thing is in London, but their summer programs are different campuses of Oxford. And so the summer I did it, we were at Balliol.
oh, wow.
It was very cool there. Yeah.
And who were some of the teachers you worked with?
Daniel Evans, he's now the head of Royal Shakespeare Company.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, he was my fave. Yeah.
I think he's the one who did Sunday in the Park with George. Is he?
Yeah, and in fact, I went backstage and up to his dressing room and stuff.
I have the recording he did of the musical Candide
Yeah,
with
he's-
Simon Russell Beale from
Yeah.
the Royal National Theatre. That's a very hard recording to find, but I'm
yeah.
glad I have it.
Daniel is lovely. He was a lovely teacher. He was a young man with Royal Shakespeare back then.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. I'm just such it's just so wonderful the way the language works in terms of the sounds in that one. I mean, there is, I think in the 2,000-year-old man, the Mel Brooks, Carl Reiner's dialogues, he talks about the onomatopoetica rhetorica, the idea of things sounding like what they are. And
Yeah.
like at the tardy gated night, it's
Yes, there's so much of that. There's so much of that alliteration and onomatopoeia. It's like you can hear the sounds of that night in that speech. It really puts you there. Yeah.
well, I think I'll do the opening chorus, but I'm going to try and do it. I mean, I really love the idea of original pronunciation because as language has changed over time, our pronunciation has changed. And so a lot of things that rhymed in Shakespeare's times don't rhyme now, and as the example of the 116, sonnet 116, if this be error and upon me proved, I never writ nor no man ever loved. Those don't rhyme. But back then it was, if this be error, and upon me proved, I never writ, nor no man ever loved.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
There's that. So I'm going to give a shot at my original pronunciation of the opening chorus of Henry V.
Excellent.
Oh, for a muse of fire that would ascend the brightest heaven of invention, a kingdom for a stage, princes to act, and monarchs to behold the swelling scene. Then should the warlike Harry, like himself, assume the port of Mars, and at his heels, leashed in like hounds, should famine, sword, and fire crouch for employment. But pardon, gentles all the flat, unraised spirits that have dared on this unworthy scaffold to bring forth so great an object. Can this cockpit hold the vasty fields of France, or may we cram within this wooden O the very casks that did affright the air at Agincourt? Oh, pardon. Since a crooked figure may attest in little place a million, let us, ciphers to this great account on your imaginary forces work. Suppose Within the girdle of these walls are now confined two mighty monarchies, whose high upreared and abutting fronts the perilous narrow ocean parts asunder. Piece out our imperfections with your thoughts. Into 1,000 parts divide one man, and make imaginary puissance. Think, when we talk of horses, that you see them printing their proud hoofs in the receiving earth, for 'tis your thoughts that now must deck our kings, carrying them here and there, jumping o'er time, turning the accomplishment of many years into an hourglass. For the wit supply, admit me chorus to this history, who prologue like, your humble patience pray, gently to hear, kindly to judge our play.
Wow.
Very
Really
nice.
nice. Yeah. It's wonderful with the original pronunciation. Yeah.
Yeah,
It almost sounds like Northern English or Western or Scottish kind of thing. Yeah,
it
but
is. It is.
understandable.
Yeah, and I mean that's the thing is that it is, and it one of the things that the people who are the real big proponents of this are David and Ben Crystal, the father and son team. He's the father. David Crystal is a linguist, and they've done this great book, Shakespeare's
Shakespeare's words.
Words,
Yeah.
which has all sorts of definitions, and they also did a book, Shakespeare Miscellany, which has loads of wonderful, interesting things, and Ben is also an actor and teacher, and
Yeah, he was at Bada when I was not at Bada. He was at Prague Shakespeare when I was there,
ah.
and he taught the original pronunciation of the workshop on that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He'd done one with some group in New York. I forget what group it was. But they did a presentation of a bunch of scenes with actors doing an original pronunciation, and I thought it was great. I mean, because it's also a lot of it is more sort of into the body and less in the head. And I mean, it's also one of the things that sort of the idea of like we get this sort of very much the idea of British received pronunciation is the proper way to do Shakespeare, but that's really not the way Elizabethans talked. You know, the
No.
whole English, the modern upper class English accent is based on the fact that they brought over German kings, the House of Hanover.
Hanover's
Should all be familiar with one of those, George III, who
right.
was such a bad king that we decided we needed to fight for our independence. But the way they pronounced things was very different. But it's like you can't fix the king's pronunciation, so everybody learned to pronounce like the king pronounced. And that's it. And it's like one of the other big differences with the original pronunciation is that in sort of British they kind of drop a lot of the R's, but the R was much more
Stronger.
there.
Yeah. Yeah. Those were strong R's in the original pronunciation, very strong R's. That's what makes it sound almost Scottish warriors.
Right, yeah, no, and it's really great. I mean, I encourage you to find out, to explore more of this with those things, because I do think it really does that, and there's a little. I mean, I think there's also, because we're not as used to Shakespeare. I mean, many times when I go to a show, it takes about like 15 or 20 minutes before it's like it starts really making sense to me, sometimes. And I think that there's that you have to sort of be comfortable with being unfamiliar with things a little while until it comes through, and that Shakespeare will do that.
And I was thinking another example of something we've lost over the years is the Saturday's play, The Taming of the Shrew. The last two lines no longer rhyme. Well, go thy ways, thou hast tamed a cursed shrow. 'Tis a wonder, by your leave, she will be tamed so.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you see a filming of Royal Shakespeare and British companies now, they don't do the 50 or 100 years ago received pronunciation for everything. People have their accents if they're from wherever they're from. They just speak with their natural accents. They don't do the Gilgood and and that's Royal Shakespeare. That's like Britain's best companies. They don't all do that
Yeah.
upper
Yeah.
class thing anymore.
I'm thinking even 50, 60 years ago, if you came from some region of England and you didn't speak like everyone else, that would really hamper you in your career.
Not
And
anymore.
the ones that, yeah, the working class actors that came along, like Albert Finney, and I guess Richard Harris, he didn't do much Shakespeare. They were the first ones who got to speak with their own voices, really,
Yeah.
on the stage. And some people didn't like it.
Now that's what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's-
And it makes sense and it's more alive.
Yeah, Burton had to get rid of his Welsh accent, and
Yeah, well, it is. I mean, and that is one of the things that Shakespeare, I mean, will continue to evolve because I mean, it holds the mirror up to nature, and and things change, and there are a lot of different possibilities, a lot of exciting things going on, different ways of doing them. So, um, so is there anything else anybody would like to?
Yeah.
not really, no.
Okay, great. Well, thank you all so much. Thank you for sharing some Shakespeare, and
Yeah.
all of you are welcome. Anybody is welcome to do that with the Instant Shakespeare Company. We have many readings in person at the New York Public Libraries and on Zoom from anywhere. We have people from California, Texas, London, all over the place who participate in our Zoom readings. And all you have to do is email instantshakespeare@gmail.com. So thank you so much, and I hope to come back. We have a lot of exciting stuff going on in June. On June 7th at the Columbus Library, we're doing a reading of The Taming of the Shrew in person. And then next weekend on June 14th, we're doing a reading of King John and on Zoom. And then on Zoom on the 15th, we're doing a reading of Liz Estrada 2025 by Alan Hofstadter, which is an adaptation of the play Liz Estrada, which actually we'd done a version he'd had done of this play. We did a Zoom reading of a number of years ago, but he has now updated it to the new administration. And so we're doing that on June 15th. And then the following weekend, June 21st, we'll have an in-person Measure for Measure reading at the Bloomingdale Library. And then on the 28th, we will have a Zoom reading of Henry VIII. So if you're interested and available for any of those, please email instantshakespeare@gmail.com. And thank you. And our motto is